concerns about press freedom escalate here in the U.S., there's a new coalition raising its voice and calling on the public and private sectors to act, and act now. Welcome to this episode of E&P Reports, where today we're spotlighting a critical, timely initiative, Press Freedom United. Joining me are three key leaders behind the movement who together have launched this initiative that already includes dozens of respected organizations and a powerful open letter calling for stronger protections and awareness of the threats facing journalism across the United States. Please join me in welcoming Sally Lehrman, CEO of the Trust Project. Sally, correct me if I'm wrong, your work focuses on restoring trust in journalism through transparency and accountability. Do I have that right?
That's right. We work with hundreds of news organizations globally, and what we do is help everyone strengthen their integrity and demonstrate that to the public so that we can really succeed in our global mission, meaning every news organization, to strengthen people's ability and access to trustworthy news.
Excellent. Anh-Thu Vo. Anh-Thu, I said that correctly, didn't I?
Yes.
Good. Manager of Research and Advocacy at PEN America. That's PEN America. And you're an organization long at the forefront of defending free expression and press rights. Do I have that right, Anh-Thu?
Yes. Yes, we work on writers and journalists around the world, but today we will be focusing on our work on the U.S.
And a very good friend to E&P, full disclosure, Dan Williams, CEO. Can I say Dan, or do you prefer Daniel?
Daniel's fine, yeah.
Okay, Daniel. I always say Dan. Maybe I should always say Daniel. We go way back. Daniel Williams, CEO of BlueLena, full disclosure. BlueLena is the power behind E&P's databasing. Daniel has been a big help to us in our growth. So we thank you, Daniel, and I may personally do this to the public, that thank you, BlueLena. And you bring the publisher's perspective to this dialogue, that the infrastructure. And you are really taking it seriously to try to take this advocacy and turn it into action. Am I correct, sir?
Yeah, that's correct. So BlueLena, we work with a community of about 250 publishers, primarily in the U.S. It's a diverse mix of for-profit, nonprofit, legacy media, primarily pure play digital news organizations. But when we got involved in this effort, we felt like there was both a need and an opportunity and an imperative to raise public awareness about what is going on. And Sally, because of her large network of publishers in BlueLena, along with News Revenue Hub and a couple of other similar solution providers, we got together and so we can talk a little bit more about how we've approached it. But we just wanted to lean in and offer whatever support we could.
Well, if I may editorialize, this is more than a campaign. In my humble opinion, it's a movement. And today we're unpacking it. How it can exist, where it's headed, and what publishers like you can get involved and help with the effort. But I'm going to ask my audience to stand by, and we'll get to all of that right after this.
This episode of E&P Reports is exclusively sponsored by Blocks Digital, formerly Town News. Even though the name has changed, their commitment to the media industry is as strong as ever. Blocks Digital is now even better positioned to deliver integrated solutions like content management, audience development, advertising revenue, video management, and more. Join the over 2,000 news publishers worldwide that power their ongoing digital transformation with Blocks Digital, serving over 141 million monthly users who view over 6.5 billion pages of content each year. You can trust Blocks Digital to empower you, to connect you at scale with the community you need to reach. Blocks Digital, formerly Town News, now reimagined to help meet the news publishing challenges of tomorrow and beyond. Learn more at blocksdigital.com.
All right, Sally, let's start with you. What was the catalyst for Press Freedom United? And why did you start this? Why did you bring this together? Sally, please help us.
Well, thanks, Mike. And I can't say I brought it together. It came from an initiative kind of led by a number of people talking about this issue. And Daniel and I got together and thought, we really need to do something about this. We really need to act. And news leaders typically shy away from any kind of advocacy other than, say, the once a year Freedom of Information push, usually led by FBJ. But this joint effort and the hundreds of signatures that we've collected so far just speak volumes about the gravity of the situation. So we can trace these overall attacks on press freedom from lawsuits against Gannett, the Des Moines Register, CBS, ABC, and then the defunding of USAGM and the shuttering of Voice of America, retaliating against the Associated Press by banishing them from the White House, and now recreating the press pool in a new way, taking control of independent agencies such as the FCC, which then launched investigations of certain news media, and to the effort to defund NPR and PBS. So we are bringing news organizations together, as well as people who work closely with the news, like your advertisers in the audience, and anybody who really sees the importance of accurate, trustworthy journalism in the workings of democracy, in the workings of every single community, bringing these folks together so that individual news organizations just can't be picked off one by one.
And two, PEN America has long tracked threats to press freedom in the U.S. How does this effort build on that work? And what data trends have alarmed you the most in the past year?
Yeah, so if I could just do a broader highlight, and Sally has already hit some of these points really well in her part, but we're seeing an increased attack on the press. We're concerned about the blatant formation of hostilities against the press, and this is including encouragement of online and offline abuse, which can lead to physical violence against journalists. We're also seeing concerns about legal threats and the weaponization of the federal and state government as a part of a concerted effort to suppress a free and independent press. It's causing censorship and a chilling effect on speech. The US government is deploying intimidation tactics to directly censor and silence journalists and news outlets, and this creates a chilling effect in self-censorship. We're also seeing financial pressures, and the US media industry is facing a perfect storm. Over the past decade, we've seen a dramatic increase in violence, harassment, and hostility against the media, also while seeing a decrease in financial resources on newsrooms. And if I could bring this to a specific example, we're seeing the defunding of the US Agency for Global Media and its networks. USAGM oversees international broadcasting over 2 different federal networks and 5 nonprofit organizations, including Radio Free Asia, Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Middle East Broadcasting Network, and 2 other networks. And these outlets provide reliable news, multi-broadcasting, and technical support for the region. And on March 14th this year, President Trump issued an executive order directly eliminating USAGM to the maximum extent consistent with applicable law, which effectively lays off a significant portion of their staff, including the journalists and support personnel, and it's on track to enforce closure. This puts so many journalists at risk. Many of these journalists who have worked for USAGM-funded organizations are now facing deportation. And what is really concerning is that they're going to be deported to countries where media is not readily accepted, like traditionally in the US. They could face arrest, harassment, even torture. And so it's really essential right now that we look towards this issue and help find solutions.
Daniel, this all started this interview, because I got you just simply said, Mike, you want to sign the letter? And I've known you, and to me, you're just, no offense, you're my first party data expert. I don't know, I'm not, I'm a little nerdy, but I'm just a good old sales guy. And I approached BlueLena, remember, years ago and said, help me. And you've been taking over, managing, advising, and we love you guys. This is not, in my opinion, you have hundreds and hundreds of sites and newspapers and news publishers that you have to manage in the digital space alone. This is a near and dear project to you, and you're bringing in that publisher side to this group. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think the genesis of all of this, at least from my involvement, goes back to the fall when House Resolution 9495 was moving through Congress. It was passed by the House and then it stalled in the Senate. But essentially, what that would do is it would allow the government to designate a nonprofit organization as a terrorist group very arbitrarily. And so there was a communication, a handful of journalism support organizations. I was copied in on that, and that began some dialogue around, okay, what do we need to do as an industry to defend ourselves? What I felt like, there was a need and an opportunity to do was where the letter by CPJ and PEN America were really sort of an effort of support organizations coming together to take a stance and articulate their concerns to the government. We wanted to do something that was a little bit more public facing. We felt like it was important to raise public awareness of the growing threats to independent journalism, freedom of the press. And in doing that, we wanted to, in writing this letter, we wanted to encourage all members of the communities across the U.S. to join the movement by signing on. And then finally, the third goal was to, which is sort of written into the letter, is to demand that elected leaders in the executive and legislative branches take immediate action to restore press access, protect public media funding, honor journalistic integrity, and restore our leadership position on global press freedom. So it's broad by design, and it's not, we're not addressing a specific set of actions that the administration has taken, because so much is changing literally by the day. And so we wanted to just sort of really rally the public and raise awareness to everything that's going on.
Let's dive into it. You've got this audience of a few thousand news publishing executives. That's who we target. We're a very narrow trade brand.
Right.
I signed the letter. Do you need more signatures? You got the megaphone.
Yeah.
I mean, who do I ask this to? Sally, what kind of response have you had? Can I ask you, Sally? Is this in your bailiwick? And what do you need? Tell us what you want today, because I can't imagine anyone saying, nah, I don't care about this. I like having the press suppressed. Go ahead.
First of all, sign that letter, sign the letter. And it's a bit.ly, so the URL is bit.ly/TFU 2025.
No, and we'll put a link. We'll put a link. Oh,
okay.
Anybody
Great.
come back if you're tripping on this episode on Spotify or Apple or whatever flavor of podcast channel you like, editorandpublisher.com/vodcasts, VODCASTS. We'll have the link there proudly. Huge. I promise you, it'll stick out like a sore thumb. And you're just asking for a signature. Big, small, no matter the stripe or shape of the publication, we support freedom of the press. That's what you're asking
right.
for. Correct?
Yes. So start by signing this letter. All it takes is to pull up that URL, sign it, and on it you'll see that right now, Daniel reported this morning, we have 442 signers, and that's 77 journalists, 74 news outlets, 59 executives, 27 journalism serving organizations, 71 faculty members, and on. And so start with that letter and then do things like, one, support public media. They are the first to be under attack right now. So write a column, an editorial, give a talk. They need our support. And why? Why should each one of us jump in? Because we're next. And look at what's happening in academia. One by one by one, the big ones, the small ones. And then secondly, do the best journalism you can and tell people about it. Yeah. Differentiate ourselves. Communicate how we go about reporting, how we confirm our sources, how our essays keep us nonpartisan. So don't let this disinformation about journalism start seeping into people's minds. How we make decisions, admit our mistakes, make good on those. So it's about continuing the great journalism that people are doing, communicating about whatever issue is at hand. Right now, it's public media, and you can find on our site information about public media. And then third, again, sign that letter and encourage others to sign it too. We want to get these numbers up before we deliver it on the day before World Press Freedom Day, which is
So
the other,
3rd.
Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
yeah,
Please.
just to add, this is really intended for the publishers who are listening, but so we're, our focus is on primarily on engagement with the publishing community, journalism support organizations, retired journalists, and so forth. To help publishers, we've also provided a series of assets, communication materials that they can access and take and edit and curate and put in their own voice to help broadcast this message out to their audiences. So those are resources that we've made available to help, force multiply and drive a lot of not just accomplish the goal of public awareness, but to get more members of the public that are outside of the journalism profession to sign the open letter. So those are some things that we've done.
I want to make
And don't forget the one more thing. Don't forget we have there's also a page where signers can go and donate to support the independent press. So you can support any of the news organizations that have signed or journalism support organizations. They can just click there and actually contribute. So we thought that was an important element as well.
This has been an entirely volunteer-led effort. We all have day jobs. We all have our normal businesses to operate. We've contributed to this. We're not fundraising. We've neither solicited nor received any funding to enable this effort, but instead we want to put the focus on the publishers. And so to Sally's point, we have a page there that we encourage when people sign the open letter to go find a local media outlet that they can support. So.
All right. We will be making this a dynamic page. That's what I was going to say. So if anyone trips over this in 6 months, there will be new information, new links, which brings me finally back to Anh-Thu. Anh-Thu, you've been sitting there patiently, and I loved what you said about the fight you're in. Is there hope, Anh-Thu? I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to let you be the last one. Where would you like to be with that magic wand 1 year from now or 18 months from now? Have you got hope? Are you looking to the future? What do you see as a good scenario, Anh-Thu?
Yes, so I mean, luckily this is my day job, and I am so fortunate to work with incredible people, not within just within PEN America, but also CPJ, RSF, IWMF. These are all organizations that are dedicated to fight for press freedom and free expression in the US. And although this situation right now is very, very bleak, I do think that there are different avenues that we're going down through litigation, through congressional advocacy. And it's great to see so many different folks getting into this fight right now, because we're going to need more support than ever before. And so journalists and writers are able to create a future and report on facts that audiences aren't typically exposed to day to day. And I think that in itself is hope. Bringing these new stories and having people there to support them, I think that is what gets me to continue working on this every day.
Sally Lehrman, CEO of the Trust Project, Anh-Thu Vo, Manager of Research and Advocacy at PEN America, and of course, E&P's good friend Daniel Williams, CEO of BlueLena. Thank you for being the three spokespeople of a much larger group that is working together towards this goal. Once again, we're going to stay on top of this. This is the beginning of us keeping track of what you guys are up to, and we thank you for your valuable time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.